Do you find yourself asking, how in the world do I turn my passions or my talents into a real money-making business around here? Or maybe you are asking yourself, what is my calling? What is my mission? I know that I want to have a big difference in the world, and I just don't know how to do that. And I'm feeling really frustrated. And like everybody else has got it figured out, and I don't. So what's wrong with me? Well, I want to help you with that today. If we haven't met, my name is Christine McAllister. I'm the founder of Life with Passion. I'm the best-selling author of The Income Replacement Formula, 7 Simple Steps to Doing What You Love and Making 6 Figures from Anywhere. And I have been featured in Entrepreneur on Fire, the Huffington Post, Inc., Business Insider. So I'm here to share with you the secrets to turning your passion into a real money-making business. Now, I'm also going to share this with my private Facebook group, which is called the Passionate and Profitable Entrepreneur Society. And if you're not in there, I want to invite you to join, because it is an amazing community of high achievers who are working to replace their incomes and then some with a business that they love and are passionate about that also makes a real difference in the world. So hang with me one second while I do that. And I'd love for you to go ahead and say hi as well. And tell me what you're working on. Do you have a business? Are you trying to figure this out for yourself? Okay, so here's the thing. A lot of times we ask ourselves, like, how in the world do I turn my passions, my talents into a viable business? And a lot of times that's accompanied by the immediate pressure of feeling like, how do I know my calling? How do I know my mission? How do I figure out what that is, right? Like, I need to know that. I need to know what my exact purpose is here on this earth. And I get it, because I used to be there. I spent a lot of years there. But what I've found is that that actually puts a ton of pressure on yourself. Like, if you wake up going, I don't know what my passion is, I don't know what my calling is, I don't know what my mission is, or any of those things, and I don't know how to figure it out, what's wrong with me? I'm ready for it to fall out of the sky and hit me over the head and tell me. Then what you're doing is you're perpetuating that I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, over and over and over again. And I think that there's this weird myth in our culture of like, I know that I can remember feeling this way even all the way back to high school of like, I need to know my calling, and it needs to look like a specific profession right now. Like, can you think back to high school and or college, everyone asks you what you're going to be as if like that's the only thing you will ever do for work? And yet statistics show us that even if we're in the workforce, we're likely to have over a dozen careers, not jobs, careers, meaning switching industries from the time we graduate or leave school to the time that we retire. So like, it's this weird dichotomy where we tell ourselves we have to figure out the one thing that we're made to do, that we're put on this earth to do. But at the same time, that is not how life works, and that's not how work works. Work works. And so I have coached and advised and counseled literally hundreds of people in my work as a professor and an advisor to students, in my work as a career counselor, and, you know, volunteering and mentoring, and now coaching and helping people figure out what their unique talents and passions, how those combine to create a real money-making career and business. And so the first thing that I would offer there is like, it doesn't have to look like one thing forever. In fact, it almost never does, perhaps never does, right? So an example from my own life is like looking more at the themes that go with our personalities and our passions and our talents, rather than, oh my gosh, now I have to figure out exactly how those translate into one specific business now and forever. Thank you, amen. Okay. So in my life, I knew that my passion was to help people. I knew that I wanted to help people live their own dreams, right? So I started out as a professor. I started out, even before that, as a documentarian, telling stories that would inspire other people. Then I became a professor to help people, you know, help young people learn about what was possible for them and help them live their dreams. I became a career counselor to help people identify their passions and choose careers in them, right? Get everything ready so that they could go in and get the jobs that they wanted. All along the way, knowing that I had this desire for entrepreneurship. I had a desire to be my own boss, to get rid of any income ceiling, to reap the rewards of the results that I wanted, and on my own terms, right? Wearing what I wanted. Hello, sweatshirt. So with my dogs at my feet, you may be able to hear Isley in the background chewing on a bone. So one of the things that I recognized is that, like, okay, I think like a lot of you, I had this desire to help people, and I had a desire to be my own boss, right? To run my own business. Those two things had always been true for me. And so, yeah, I had jobs and learned along the way and was able to provide value. But there came a point when I said, all right, it's time for me to combine those two things in a new way. So my first business, the one that I started on the side and then went full time with, was doing digital marketing for small businesses, because I was so passionate about helping them not stink at that and helping them share their awesome business ideas with the world, right? So no matter what they were doing, I was passionate about telling their story and helping them to succeed. Again, going back to helping people, now combining it with being my own boss, right? And so that was super successful for a lot of years. And then it came time for a new iteration. But I'll always be grateful for that, for the relationships, for the job, for the business that got me out of my 9-to-5 job, right? And replaced my income in the first month, and how it helped me. I was so passionate about helping my clients to live their dreams, right? To live their passions. And I was able to serve them so that they didn't have to worry about the marketing, which they hated and were overwhelmed by, and they could go do what they did best, right? So then the next iteration for me was Life with Passion, where now I actually had experience running a business full time, as well as helping other people figure out what their passions were. I could legitimately help clients to, number one, figure out their passions, and number two, build a successful business around them, because I had done both. So it's congruent in both. So that is an example of sort of my path. And frankly, like, I know that Life with Passion will look different in a year, 2 years, 5 years, right? I'm adding public speaking. Now I have a book, there are all these other things that are being developed behind the scenes, right? And surprises along the way. But like the thing is, it's allowed to be an iterative process rather than the pressure of like, I have to figure out what my thing is once, now and for all, forever. It can be something for right now that replaces your income, and then some, that feels good for right now and that teaches you what the next step is, that opens those doors along the way. Does that make sense? I'd love to know. I know a bunch of you have jumped on, so let me know in the comments. Hey, Kim. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Meryl. Cool. So that's the first piece, is to start reframing and giving yourself permission to know that this is an iterative process, and to take off the freaking pressure around, oh my gosh, I have to figure out the one thing now and forever. Thank you, amen. So look at the themes in your life instead of like, what is my particular business and career now and forever? Give yourself permission to start with the themes that you see right now. Now, usually those themes, hold on, dogs are wrestling. Pogo, Isley, stop it. Hey, come here. Lay down. I have one dog that is arthritic and limps around and senior, but she still wants to play like she's a puppy. And then another dog who is an obnoxious younger brother and wants to treat her like she's a puppy, and often hurts her with his roughhousing. So I have to break them up. Thank you for your patience. So the next thing that I would say is this thing that your themes, or your like next step, the thing that you are likely to step into and building a business around, is probably like trying to look at a fly on the end of your nose. Do you want me to do that again? It's so close to your face that you can't even see it. It's so close to your face. It's so like something that you just do and eat, sleep, and breathe and live, that you are already just doing it. And likely it comes so naturally to you that you feel guilty getting paid to do it because you think it's so easy. It's so easy. And so maybe you're doing that thing for free right now, and you are, because you feel guilty getting charged or getting paid for it because it's so easy for you. So tell me if that's you. Or maybe it's more just that when like you're not even doing it, but when you think about doing it, you're like, oh my gosh, I could never charge for that. Like, that's so easy, right? So the thing though is that if there's something that comes easier to it comes easy to you right now, it does not come easy to everyone else. But it goes back to being in your own jar and not being able to read the label. Other people on the outside, a great mentor, a great coach, could look at you and be like, do you realize that's a thing? Like, do you realize that that's a thing? So I have a client who, has this incredible relationship with money that she's had her whole life. But because she made the decision when she was a teenager, she was like, that's not a thing. Like, it's not special. Like, it's been my lifelong like thing. It's just like fully integrated for me. It's just whatever. And I was like, yeah. And like nobody else has that. Right. So like, that's something that you can teach. And that's something that's so needed in our world where most of us are complete head cases about money. Right. Which makes it that much harder to make, that much harder to save, that much harder to keep, that much harder to receive, etc. Right. So I think it's like looking at those themes, and usually it's something, like I said, that comes so easily to you that you are going to feel guilty getting paid to do it at first because you would or even are doing it for free. Has that felt true for you? I'd love for you to tell me. Melissa says, yes, makes total sense. Sarah says, this has been such a hugely helpful takeaway from our time together that things can change. Yeah, 100%. And like, if we look at any other area of our lives, we're kind of like, duh, of course things can change, right? Relationships change. If we have children, like how we parent and, their stages of development and all of that changes. If we have fur babies, same thing, right? Anything in our lives is ever evolving, right? What's that saying? The only constant is change. But because of whatever our conditioning as we grew up, must choose major in college, must choose career, right? It kind of like creates this really black or white dichotomy thinking where we have to choose one thing and commit to it forever. And that is just like not actually reality. And the same is true when you're building a business. And that's okay. In fact, that's good. It means you're green and growing, not ripe and rotting, right? So again, like, what are your themes? That's so important. It cannot be overstated, because we want to look at your themes of what have you found yourself loving about each job that you've ever had? Now, you might say, not much, my friends, but like, let's ask the question instead of like, what do you hate about this job? Which is an important question to ask sometimes too. Like, what are some things that I hate? Well, I really don't like math that much, right? I really don't like going to in-person networking meetings, because I'm an introvert, right? But I really like writing, which is a big part of my first business and this business. And my themes have always been, in every career, they've always been showing people what's possible and helping them get there. Showing people what's possible and helping them get there. So do you know your themes? Something to really start looking at and exploring. And a great mentor or coach can help you see that usually a lot quicker than you can see it yourself. So some examples from my clients, because I know that sometimes it can be just really helpful to see the different things, the kinds of things that people are doing. So I have a client who has this amazing background in PR and writing, and a lot of you know her. This is Ashley, and our work together has been kind of uncovering her themes, and that what's always come really easily to her is like championing her causes and helping them to be visible, right? And so when we looked at her skills in PR and her skills in writing and her skills in the life coaching that she just does, then what we realize is that her theme is helping people be visible. So that's her theme. And then we looked at, well, who does she take a stand for? She takes a stand for women who want to be paid to be themselves, right? Great. We took her expertise, we took her passion for helping like causes, people, whatever that she's passionate about to be visible, and we figured out her niche, and that's that she takes a stand for women who want to be paid to be themselves, and we combine the two. And that's her business. That's her business. Does that make sense? I know it can seem overly simple, but really, this is how quickly things can happen when you start to look at your themes and you start to look at next who you take a stand for. Who do you want to apply those themes to, right? So another one of my clients, Miranda, amazing background as like an incredible athlete and personal trainer and fitness instructor. And she's like so experienced and so talented. And so she knows how to help people transform their bodies, right? So then we were looking at, okay, well, what works for her with the business she wants to create, the freedom she wants to create, right? Because we're all about creating those freedom-based businesses, and looking at who does she take a stand for? Well, her real passion is to help women to lose weight without dieting. And that sounds like, what? That's too good to be true, right? But that's really who she takes a stand for, because she wants to help women transform their relationships with food and to be able to love themselves now, but also trust themselves and learn how to listen to themselves and, eat without the yo-yo dieting thing so that things are sustainable, right? So we combine these two things. And what I'm saying is, like, again, you might be listening to this going, well, that sounds obvious. Like, duh, of course, those are so simple. It's the same for you. So if you have found yourself, beating your head against the wall going, I don't have anything special to offer. I don't know what to do. I'm not sure if I have a purpose. Why am I here? Like, what's my calling? Know that it can be that simple. Whether you decide to dive in on this on your own and really do some processing, or whether you decide to get some help to figure it out, right? Which typically then it happens faster. Sarah says, are you talking to me, Christine? This is totally me. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I'd love to know what you were talking about specifically, Sarah, when you said that. It's so funny. I'm glad I'm reading your mind this morning. Yahoo! Meryl says she doesn't feel a thing that comes easy. Great. So I'd say that's probably an opportunity to ask a better question, Meryl. What does come easily to me in my life, rather than being like, nothing comes easy to me? I'm not saying you're saying this. I'm teasing you. Nothing comes easy to me, and that must mean there's something wrong with me. Nothing comes easy to me. I am sure there are things that come easily to you. It's just more about broadening that perspective, because I know that every single one of us has unique God-given gifts and talents. 100%. And one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this work is that I believe that when we all live according to how we're made, then the whole world is served, right? Because think about the causes that you love to give to, or think about what's important to you, what you spend your money on, what you give back to, where you spend your time. It's different for every single one of us. And when we live in alignment with our gifts, our passions, with what comes most easily to us, then the world is served, right? It's not like we're all just going to give to this one charity when we're all millionaires. No, we're all going to give to different causes because we all have different passions, right? And so our job is to ask that question and start observing without pressure. What does come easily to us? What's the most fun, right? I mean, I use this example all the time, but one time Amy Porterfield, in marketing her online course program, said she helped someone to be successful with cat grooming webinars, selling an online course in cat grooming. And her example was hello, if she can make this much money selling cat grooming videos. Your niche ain't that small, right? So like, no, I'm certainly not advocating like if you have a small audience that you build an online course, because it's a huge long-term thing and you need to spend a lot of money to build an audience. That's a whole different conversation. But you know, good for the cat groomer, right? Good for the cat groomer. That's amazing. Amazing to be able to take that talent of grooming cats and believe, hey, I can reach some other people who want to groom cats and build an online course around that. Does that make sense? There is no niche too crazy or too small. Usually our niche is too wide. All right. Melissa said, you showed me what was possible and have totally helped me get there. I love that so much, Melissa. I am so proud of you. You've been such a rock star in this process and just really have shown up for yourself. And I'm so excited for you and your clients because I know you're changing their lives too. Sarah says doing things for free. Okay, totally. Yeah. I mean, we've all been guilty of it, right? But like there comes a point at which that doesn't serve you because you're not making money, or your client, you know, or your potential client, because I know we've talked about this on live streams before, but like people don't value what they don't pay for. So they need to have some skin in the game of whatever they're buying, service, product, whatever, or else it's going to sit on a shelf and collect dust, or in a downloads folder that they never open if it's a digital product, or they're not going to treat it well. They're not going to, if it's a product, they're not going to clean it. They're not going to take care of it. They're not going to use it. If it's advice, if it's coaching, if it's whatever, they're not going to implement it. You know, they're just not. Like, think about all the free advice you've gotten versus anytime you've paid for something and the difference in how you've shown up for it, how seriously you've taken it. Just human nature, right? So charging for your services or your products, which is part of this conversation of how to turn your passions into a real money-making business, like that's just as much for your client or customer as it is for you. Because typically we tend to think about, oh, I need the money, but that feels weird to ask them for money. I don't want to be pressury. I don't want to be salesy, whatever. It's just as much for them to help them value and use the thing that they're buying from you as it is for you to be like, I'm making some money around here. Okay. So the next thing to look at is where in your life, like what are you already doing already? What are you super congruent in doing already, right? So when we were talking about themes, told you about mine, I told you about a couple of my clients. What are you super congruent in doing already? So another client who had her own, kind of like me, had her own business that wasn't, she wasn't passionate about anymore, and she wanted to make a change. But what she'd already been doing as a passion project on the side was building this really successful podcast. And so what she decided that she wanted to do is use all of the expertise that she had in this podcast and shift her business focus, expertise, you know, credibility, all that stuff, shift expert focus to offering to help people and consulting on the topic of her podcast. And so it went from being a passion project that she was doing for free to something that she began to allow herself to earn money doing, because she was so congruent in it already. She was such an expert in it already. She was so passionate about it that it was just natural to make that shift. Obviously, like required some mindset shifts, required some strategy, required, you know, a lot of those different things that we've worked on together. But she was already doing this thing, and it was just like, of course we can build a business around that, right? You've already put so many of the pieces in place. So where have you already put pieces in place? Where are you living congruently with your themes, with what you're passionate about? And how can you look at moving that into, okay, now I have my themes, I'm congruent here. Who do I want to help with this specifically, right? Because everyone is not an answer that's going to get you clients. Niche down, niche down, niche down. You cannot niche down too much. At least I've never seen someone who's too niche down. And I've been in business for 13 years. Then the next step is you need to get visible around it. Yes, I said it. You need to get visible around it. All right. this is where I know a lot of you struggle. I know what's holding a lot of you back. You don't say the thing that you want clients or customers for, or you don't say it every day. Internet's a busy place. Not to discourage you, but you know how fast things move online, right? So if you're not top of mind, someone else is. And while I believe that there's enough business for everyone, I also believe that you've got to show up consistently in order to become memorable. So are you showing up consistently? Are you offering what you have to offer? Are you talking about what you're passionate about, right? My passion is helping you build a business out of your passions, right? So like my messaging is all different types of that, teaching about all the different aspects and ways that that happens and how to do that and what to do with your mindset and what to do with your, your simple strategies, all of the things that I know are required to build a successful business that's freedom-based, right? So are you teaching about all of the different things? Are you establishing yourself as an expert in all of the different things that relate to your themes, your values, right? You get visible, sharing information about it to establish you as an expert, and then you regularly make offers of how people can pay you to help them, right? Because there's going to be a percentage of your audience that's like, well, I want her to help me apply this to my business and my life. I want her to help me figure out exactly, what this means for me. Because I've been trying to figure it out for a long time. I've been trying to solve this problem for myself for a long time, and I haven't done it yet. And to me, I just want it done. I just want it done, and I'm willing to pay for it because I'm tired of not being able to figure it out on my own. Okay, so there's going to be a percentage of your audience that wants that problem solved. And they have to know how they can work with you, right? They have to know how they can work with you. If you never tell them, then they're just going to assume that you're doing this for free as a passion project, which is a thing, but it's not a thing if you want to replace your income, right? Because that's not being congruent to your values. So as an example, the way that I work with my clients is over 6 months where I sort of hold their hand and kick their butt every step of the way. And I see it as like being a business partner without you having to have the headache and give away, power in your business. All those things. Having a business partner is like being married without the benefits. I want to give you the best parts of having a business partner without having those negative pieces so that you get to learn how to be an empowered business owner, CEO, entrepreneur, with how to learn to think like an entrepreneur and how to learn how to how to go get those clients, how to charge for what you're worth, how to figure out what your themes are, how to package, productize and market that, how to get visible, all of that, how to make real relationships. So, what I would say is, that's my offer, right? That's how I work with people. That's what I show up for. That's what I mention when I talk about how I work with my clients. And I do have just a couple of spaces left. There are a lot of people who are wanting this work right now, right? And so I'm working with a ton of awesome clients, and I also really limit the spots available because I know the attention every one of my clients gets. So I only have a couple spots left right now. So I'm going to be booked out soon. If you're thinking that you want this help anytime in the next several months, I encourage you to go ahead and book a call before I'm full and stay full. That's how it tends to go. Now, I will drop a link to book a call in the comments. What I would say is, like, where do you feel like you are in this process? Because I think we tend to get stuck in one place a lot of the time, right? Are you like, I don't know what to do? Or are you like, I know what to do, but I'm scared to offer it? Or are you like, I'm scared to charge for it? Or I'm not consistent enough, or I'm doubting this is going to be successful, so I'm not treating it like it's going to be successful. Where are you telling yourself, I've done everything that I know to do and it's still not working? Because that's the place to actually look at beginning to shift. If you find yourself stuck, you are never stuck. There are always options, and you've got to start believing that in order to claim your ability to create what you want. Because if you believe you've done everything you know to do and it's not working, guess what? That's victim mode. So how can you get yourself back into believing that you can create what you want? Because then you will start acting as if you can create what you want, which will then lead you to creating what you want, right? And that is how you turn your passions into a real money-making business, my friends. Okay? Not by going, it's not working, not by going, it's not this, it's not that, but by saying, like, where am I stuck? What am I going to do to get unstuck? Because I have the ability to do that. I have the ability to do that today. And that's not pie in the sky. That's brain science, right? You all remember the learned helplessness example. This is before human, or not human, animal rights activists would never allow this to happen today, I don't think. But like the idea of the dogs who were in an experiment decades ago, where one set of dogs was put in a cage where they were shocked, but the floor was shocked, but they could get out. And another set of dogs was set in a cage where they were shocked and they couldn't get out. And so then when they took the dogs who couldn't get out and gave them the ability to get out, they didn't know that they could anymore. And so they just stood there and let themselves be shocked, because it was learned helplessness. Learned helplessness. There's nothing I can do. I'm a victim. I just have to stay here. Now, for those of you watching this, I know that that's kind of like an extreme example, because I'm sure you all are animal lovers like I am. But like, for those of you watching this, in the first world, with access on your smartphone, on your computer, all these things that we're so privileged to have, we always have options. Think about Yahoo being an acronym for that. You always have other options. And even just knowing that and believing that is so important to building a successful business. Is so important to thinking like an entrepreneur, because you will always be tweaking. You will always be testing. You will always be going, okay, that worked better than I thought. That didn't work as well as I thought. What do I want to do here? But the thing is coming back to yourself. What do I want to do next? What do I want to do next? What would feel good to do? What works with my personality? What works with my themes? And I realize that that's a bigger discussion than like, here's step one, like we were just talking about, right? Figure out your themes, then figure out your who you take a stand for, figure out where you're congruent already, get visible, make those offers consistently, right? But the overarching umbrella here is like you claiming your power and your ability as a creator to create what you want. That's what you want. You want a freedom-based business. Okay, well, we have to believe that we can create that in order to create it. Right? So I would say that, like, if you find yourself struggling with that, that's definitely a place to get help. If you find yourself stuck, then know that you have the ability to go, okay, do I want to get some help here, or just do I want to dive in on this here? What do I want to do here? It's always a process of asking yourself these questions, asking yourself what would be most helpful to take action on, get support around, get help with, and then doing that thing. Because that's the process of business building over and over and over. And I think a lot of times we're sold another myth that's like, oh, well, I'll just start a business and I'll just figure it out, and like I won't need to do any other, work along the way, right? Lather, rinse, repeat. Well, that's not the way business works for most people, because there are trends and there are things, and like life happens, and maybe you get bored doing something and you want to do something else, right? And the point of this business is to do something you're passionate about, to wake up enjoying what you do every day. And that is also allowed to change, like we were talking about earlier. So I'd love to know if you all have any questions about this, because I think it's such an important topic. Like I said, I know I get this question all the time. How in the world do I even begin to turn my passions into a real money-making business? Are there things that you all feel like I've left out here? Are there things that you're like, well, I'd love to know about this, Christine? Whether you're watching live or on the replay, or maybe you're like, listen, I've done this before and you left out this big piece. I'd love to know what you think. So whether you're watching live or on the replay, I'd love for you to let me know. What do you think are the big pieces that that you need to hone in on, or that are most important here, or that maybe even that I missed? Obviously, one of the things that we had talked about for weeks is the whole idea of sales. And that's what comes after you make an offer and you have someone who's interested, right? Learning to sell in a way that doesn't feel icky, pressury, salesy. Learning to sell from a place, again, of power and believing that you have something unique to offer in a way that nobody else does, no matter what you're selling. And that there are certain people who are only going to want to buy from you for those reasons. Okay, that's really, really important, because what I know is that, like, for most of us, delivering the service or product is not the issue. Like, a lot of times that's where we really stress, is like creating this perfect offer or sales page or whatever that's going to like magically bring everyone on the internet who wants to buy from you to you. But for most of us, especially in the early stages of business, it's not about the perfect sales page. It's about making relationships with people who trust you. That's what makes them pull out their card and buy from you, right? And I think we miss this a lot. I think we miss it a lot. So don't hide behind needing the perfect, fancy piece of tech. Platforms, social media platforms, make it so easy to put something up that already looks designed because it's inside their platform, right? And to get visible without having to spend 2 weeks or $2,000 or whatever on a website. So you get to learn along the way, and most of us hide behind some of these pieces, these techie pieces or whatever that we think are going to be the thing. But the longer you hide behind them, the longer it takes you to learn the lesson that when you come out from hiding behind them, guess what? It didn't get you the result that you wanted, because it wasn't actually the thing that you needed, right? The thing that you needed was to show up for your business every day, to let people know how they can work with you, to talk about what you're passionate about, and to become top of mind and become memorable, because you believe that you have a certain group of people who you are uniquely gifted to serve and to help with your thing. Beautiful. So I am going to, if you want my help with this, like I said, there are only a couple of spots left before I'm totally booked out, to help you over the next 6 months. And I'm going to drop a link to book a call to talk with me about working together here. Now, I want you to give me your feedback. I want you to give me your thoughts. I want you to give me your questions. Drop them in the comments. I will come back and check. And I want you to go out and turn your passion into a real money-making business. That's my passion, and I believe it for each and every one of you. So believe it for yourself. Take ownership. Get excited. Take that next step forward and come back and let me know what you're going to do. Have an awesome day.